Breaking news! The silence surrounding Jalen Ramsay is finally making noise, and what we just learned could turn the entire Miami Dolphins offseason upside down. Just imagine, one of the NFL's most polarizing stars skipping town, training away from the team's facilities, and surrounded by the very people who may be working behind the scenes to bring him back to their team. Yes, we're talking about Los Angeles, but that's not even the half of it. There's a storm brewing between the Dolphins front office and their disgruntled cornerback, and right now, Greer is doing what he does best, absolutely nothing. This isn't just another holdout. It's a high-stakes game of chicken with millions of dollars, egos, and the team's defensive identity on the line. We're talking secret workouts, subtle social media changes, and a coach in Los Angeles who won't stop talking about a guy who is clearly out of the picture. Want drama? You got it, and I've got all the details right here. But before we get started, make sure you've clicked the like button if you've been wearing aqua and orange for decades. If you live and breathe this team, comment right now. Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange, because what I'm about to reveal is something every true fan needs to hear. Ready? Let's go! So here's the real scoop. Forget the fluff. There's a lot happening around the Jalen Ramsay situation that fans absolutely need to know. It's not just about him training at UCLA. It's about the growing storm surrounding his future with the Dolphins. Ramsay's absence from minicamp wasn't a shocker, but it was excused. And yet, he's not working out in Miami, he's at UCLA. That's the same UCLA with strong ties to the LA Rams. Add to that the fact that Rams head coach Sean McVay just can't keep Ramsay's name out of his mouth, even as he insists there are obstacles to a reunion. That's posturing, folks, pure and simple. It's all a game of money, and McVay is trying to wait out the Dolphins. Why does this matter? Because the Dolphins are now stuck in a holding pattern, and it's hurting the team. The Rams, who are clearly Ramsay's preferred destination, don't want to pay full freight. They're playing hardball, hoping the Dolphins will cave and eat a chunk of Ramsay's $21 million cap hit just to offload him. And that puts Miami in a terrible position. They don't want to give up a Pro Bowl corner for pennies on the dollar, but keeping him creates its own headaches. His presence, or more accurately, his looming absence, continues to cast a shadow over this secondary. Here's the other twist. Cornerback Jaire Alexander, once thought to be a fallback plan for teams needing a DB, just signed with the Ravens on a one-year, $4 million deal. That number could reach $6 million with incentives. The fact that Alexander, who's been a locker room headache and is clearly not in his prime anymore, signed so quickly with a team like Baltimore, and for relatively modest money, changes everything. It's a blessing in disguise for the Dolphins. Why? Because now that Alexander's off the market, the Rams can't turn around and say we'll go sign him instead of Ramsay. That leverage is gone. But there's a flip side. The low price tag for Alexander now becomes a benchmark. It sets a lower floor for the kind of money that teams are willing to spend on veteran corners with injury histories and recent performance dips. And that doesn't help Miami's case in trying to move Ramsay without eating some of that salary. It's a double-edged sword. Yes, Alexander being out of the mix helps keep the Rams focused on Ramsay, but it also weakens Miami's negotiating power when it comes to offloading Ramsay's deal. And here's where the Dolphins really get burned by Greer's lack of vision. We're in this position because of poor planning. Ramsay's contract was restructured less than a year ago, and now we're trying to dump him? That's not team building. That's just putting out fires. It's another example of Greer creating a mess that McDaniel and the rest of the staff have to clean up. The Dolphins should have had contingency plans in place. Instead, they're watching from the sidelines, hoping someone blinks. And make no mistake, other teams are interested. There have been multiple calls since June 1st, but none have come close to making an offer that works for Miami without the Dolphins chipping in big money. So now we wait. Maybe a desperate team will come forward. Maybe someone gets hurt in camp, or maybe the Dolphins can somehow strike first, lock in a quality free agent corner who sees the Alexander deal and thinks, okay, I can live with a $4 million offer if it means I get to play behind that Miami pass rush. The reality is this: every day that passes with Ramsay still on the roster, the questions get louder. Why isn't he here? Why is he in LA? Why is McVay still publicly talking about him? Every breadcrumb leads back to one place. Jalen Ramsay wants to be a Ram again, and the Rams want him back, but only on their terms. So the real question becomes, how long can the Dolphins afford to hold out? And that leads us to a crucial point. What's the endgame here for Miami? Should they bite the bullet and pay part of Ramsay's salary to ship him out? Or should they dig in, risk locker room tension, and call the Rams bluff? Because here's the truth, Dolphins fans, this isn't just about one player. This is about setting a tone for how the front office operates under pressure. If the Dolphins fold and pay off a chunk of Jalen Ramsay's contract just to make him someone else's problem, what message does that send to the rest of the roster? To the locker room? To the free agents watching from the outside who might be considering South Florida as a destination? It tells them this front office caves. It tells them loyalty is cheap and mismanagement is tolerated. And that is not how you build a Super Bowl team. Let's not sugarcoat it. Ramsay's not just another guy. When healthy and locked in, he's one of the most physical, intelligent corners in the NFL. But right now, he's a ghost. He's not in the building. And the last time we saw him connected to this team was via headlines about his excused absence from mandatory minicamp. And now he's training at UCLA? Come on. That's not optics. That's a message. Jalen Ramsay is telling the Dolphins exactly where his heart is, and it's not in Miami Gardens. And you know what makes it worse? Sean McVay won't shut up about it. He's playing both sides of the coin, saying we'd love to have Jalen back. But also, there are some real obstacles. That's a calculated move. That's how you squeeze a franchise like Miami that's already backpedaling because of cap decisions made by, you guessed it, Chris Greer. This is what happens when you keep doubling down on patchwork fixes instead of building sustainable success. Ramsay was brought in with a clear mission, be the elite shutdown guy to complement a ferocious pass rush. And for a brief moment, it worked. But now, Miami is stuck paying for a fantasy that's already unraveling. The questions now are financial, cultural, and strategic. The financial part is a disaster. Ramsay's cap hit is significant, and no one, not even the team that wants him most, is willing to take it on in full. The cultural aspect? You've got a team trying to build momentum toward training camp, but one of its most high-profile players isn't around. That sends ripples through the locker room, whether people admit it or not. It raises doubts. And strategically, this puts Miami at a crossroads. Do they hold firm, play the waiting game, and risk watching Ramsay's value continue to plummet? Or do they try to leverage this moment, this window before training camp, to bait another team into bidding against the Rams? And this is where Greer's continued role is just baffling. This man has made countless missteps when it comes to roster planning and cap strategy. Yet here we are, still letting him steer the ship. It's like watching someone play Jenga blindfolded. Eventually, everything's going to fall. If Greer had been more proactive, more honest about the team's long-term outlook, this Ramsay situation wouldn't be spiraling into public dysfunction. Instead, we're stuck in a staring contest with a team that knows exactly what it wants and what it's willing to pay for it. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have decisions to make. There are free agent corners still on the market. The Alexander deal helps define that market. That contract wasn't huge, but it was respectable. That should be enough to start real conversations with guys who are still out there. Players who look at Miami and say, that defense, that scheme, that pass rush, I can ball out there and maybe extend my career. But again, this all hinges on resolution, on clarity, on leadership. Right now, Miami's message to the league is murky. Are we contenders? Are we just trying to cut our losses? Is there a plan? Because from the outside, it doesn't look like one. And inside the building, Mike McDaniel has to deal with that distraction while preparing for a crucial training camp. Speaking of camp, let's not forget, open practices are right around the corner. 11 public dates, including Member Day. You think the fans aren't going to ask about Ramsay if he's not on that field? If he's not even in the state? It'll be a circus. And that's the last thing this team needs heading into what should be a pivotal year. Terran Armstead knows. He's already giving us glimpses into what the end of a career